Chapter 1. Vehicle Basic Equipment and Documents. In this chapter, you should get acquainted with the way a car functions so that you can properly maneuver it. You should also learn about car equipment in order to be able to notice possible errors and breakdowns. Basic car functions and equipment. Unlocking a steering wheel. Starting an engine ignition. Windshield wipers and windshield wiper fluid. Horn. Lights. Air ventilation, heating and rear window heater. Mirror adjustment. Clutch, brake and accelerator pedals. Gears. Handbrake and steering wheel. Seat belts. Bonnet opening and fixing. Fuel cap. Designate filter cap for engine oil, coolant, washer fluid and possibly oil for power steering. Instrument display and dash lights. Speedometer and thermometer. Dash light for oil pressure, electric current, doors, lights, indicators, handbrake, ABS, ESC, engine, airbag, brake failure dash light. Engine, ignition and accelerator. The engine starts when the pistons begin moving after the combustion of air and fuel mixture happened. Piston movements are then transmitted to the rotational movements of the flywheel, and these movements are transmitted on through the clutch and gearbox to the wheels. Engine orbits are controlled by the level of pressure and the accelerator pedal. The starter motor is powered by a battery. Starter is triggered by a key or ignition engine button. Electric cars have an electric engine. Hybrid cars are started by a combination of electric engine and internal combustion engine. Electric car engines are powered by special batteries. The function of the clutch is to connect the gearbox and the engine. The clutch transmits the connection between the gearbox and the engine by linking a round plate to the rotating plate of a flywheel. When you press the clutch, the engine works separately from the gearbox. When you start the engine, you need to press the clutch pedal. You also need to press the clutch pedal when you shift gears in order to avoid gearbox failure. Afterwards, you have to release it slowly so that the rotating engine movements can be transmitted gradually and softly to the wheels. Vehicles with a hydraulic clutch need to have sufficient amount of hydraulic fluid. Gearbox transmits rotating movements from the engine to the wheels. When you move the gearbox into different positions, you make the sprockets of different size connect. Some vehicles have automatic transmission. You use a lower gear when you need more engine power, when you are steering, accelerating, and when driving on an uphill or wanting to drive at a slow speed in general. You use higher gears when driving at high speed, which will reduce the fuel consumption and preserve the engine. Reverse is essential in order to be able to drive the vehicle backwards. The steering system transmits the steering movements to the front wheels through mechanic connections. The steering wheel is straightened while releasing so that the front wheels are straightened as well. Many vehicles have a power steering or hydraulic system that assists in turning the steering wheel left or right. You would still be able to drive the vehicle even if there was a malfunction in the backup system, but it is irresponsible and often against the law to continue driving under those conditions. Many cars are equipped with Electronic Stability Control System (ESP) that may prevent the car from rolling over and skidding by unblocking wheels when braking. The steering system must be adjusted to help you maneuver the car easily, safely, and quickly. As soon as you turn the steering wheel left or right, the wheels should follow the movements accordingly. If that is not the case, you should check if there are any mechanical breakdowns. While driving at low speed, the steering wheel must be easily and noiselessly turned left or right. ESC system has its own dash light at the instrument display. If it is lit constantly, it means that there is a failure in the ESC system and you need to contact a registered service. You need to make sure that the steering system functions optimally by checking the following things. The steering wheel must be tightened. The wheels must react immediately to the movements of a steering wheel. Vehicles that have power steering should have fluid levels recommended by the manufacturer, i.e. between minimum and maximum marks at the container. If the indicator lamp is lit when driving, there is not enough liquid in the container. The procedure for checking involves: take the cap off, take out a control stick from the container, wipe it, then return it into the container and take it out once again. Fluid level must be between minimum and maximum sign at the control stick. Any difficulties in turning the steering wheel may be due to the lack of fluid in the power steering fluid container, or the belt for power steering system is worn out. If there is free play in the steering wheel or insufficient fluid, it is necessary to check entire steering system. Brakes. Brake pads which are under the hydraulic pressure are pressed against brake drums or disc on the wheels, so the wheels are slowed down. Hydraulic pressure is created when you press the brake pedal, and the pressure is transmitted over the main brake cylinder through the brake pipes and brake tubes to the brakes. The foot brake usually has a brake intensifying accessory which increases the hydraulic pressure. If the brake intensifiers broke down, it could be irresponsible and against the law to continue driving under those conditions. A dual-circuit brake system consists of two brake circuits, and it is constructed in such a way that if one brake circuit would suffer a malfunction, the other would stop the vehicle. It would be irresponsible and against the law to continue driving if the hydraulic system leaked fluid. ABS brakes, i.e. anti-lock braking system, prevents the wheels from locking up while braking, thus allowing you to maneuver the vehicle more successfully. In a vehicle with ABS system, there are sensors which register wheel rotation and send impulses to the electronic control box on each wheel. If one or more wheels tend to lock while braking, the electronic control box would regulate the brake pressure on the wheels so that the lock on one or more wheels is prevented. If the ABS is activated, you will feel vibrations in the brake pedal. If ABS system is dysfunctional, you should take the car to the nearest mechanics. It is against the law to continue driving. The handbrake parking brake is connected to the braking system and is constructed so that when you pull it, it stands in the fixed position. Some vehicles have electrical parking brake. A working brake must work on all wheels and it must stop the car safely, quickly and at any speed or load. The parking brake should keep the car stopped on slopes as well. Hydraulic brake may have vacuum or electric intensifying accessory. An emergency brake stops the car safely if the main brake is out of order. You can check the regularity of brakes as follows. Ensure that the brake is not able to be pressed all the way down. How far you can press the brake pedal depends on the car manufacturer. When you press the brake pedal for a longer period of time, it should not go lower than intended, but it has to be on even level. In the car with vacuum intensifier, the brake pedal sinks down a little under pressure when the engine is started. The fluid level should be between minimum and maximum marks. Indicator lamp should not be lit while driving. If you brake softly and the car is drifted to the left or right, there is probably some dirt or moisture on the brakes. Moisture may penetrate through the brakes during car wash, but after braking for several times, this should not continue. If the car is braking unevenly or there is a sudden jolt, then there is an error in the drum, brake discs or brake shoe. If the brake pedal is going lower than expected, one of the braking systems is faulty. A candidate should learn to recognize the following breakdown signs of the brakes. A vehicle is drifted to the right or left while braking softly on normal road. Uneven braking or sudden jolts. Brake pedal is going lower than expected. It is necessary to check braking system if there is insufficient liquid for the brakes in the cup, if a light on the instrument display is lit while driving, if a brake pedal is going lower than usual, if braking is uneven or the car is drifted to one side. If the dash light for the ABS doesn't turn off right after starting engine, there is a breakdown in the brakes and only driving to the mechanic would be allowed. The owner or registered user has legal obligation to keep the vehicle in working order according to the law. The driver has the responsibility to keep the vehicle in safe driving condition. A driver has to be certain at all times that the vehicle he is driving, especially its parts, the steering system, brakes, lights, and horn are all working properly and meet the legal provisions. If you are driving a vehicle with a trailer, you must ensure that the trailer is hitched up to the vehicle. The car can be equipped only with obligatory and permitted lights and catadiopters. Obligatory lights are 2 main beams, 2 asymmetrical dipped beams, 2 position lights, 2 backlights, 3 stop lights, at least 1 light for the license plates, 2 indicator lights in the front, 2 in the back, and 1 on each side of the car. 2 red catadiopters in the back. The main beam should light up the road minimally 100 metres in front of the car. The dip beam should light up minimally 30 metres in front without blinding the oncoming vehicle. The position lights should be visible from 300 metres without blinding the others. All lights must be clean and undamaged. The front light should be white or yellowish. The rear light should be red. Vehicles longer than 6 metres should be equipped with approved and marked yellow catadiopters on both sides of the car. Additional daytime lighting equipment, additional stop or back reflectors, reverse lights, working lights, lights for marking, parking lights, as well as flashing light. A car can also have white catadiopters in front, yellow ones on the side and additional red catadiopters behind. A bulb must be properly fixed in the frame. That can be checked by directing light into the wall in order to assess illumination level. It is necessary to check if lights and catadiopters meet the following criteria. All lights and catadiopters should be clean, working and undamaged. Dipped beam should not blind the oncoming vehicles. Stop lights should be much stronger than normal backlights. The indicator lights should be yellow and easily seen in the daylight. The hazard indicators should function properly. The license plate light should be white and able to light up the entire license plate on the back. Pairs of lights should be of the same color and power. Horn should have clear and constant sound. If the indicator lights are blinking much faster than normal, this is a sign that one or more indicator lights are not working. Engine and exhaust system. It is necessary to check the following in order to ensure that engine and exhaust system are working properly. There must not be unusual noises or fumes. Exhaust fumes system should be fixed tightly to the car. There must be sufficient amount of oil in the engine between the minimum and the maximum mark on the container and according to the instruction book. Antifreeze should be filled according to the instruction book. Risk factors relating to the engine and exhaust system. Improperly fixed of defective exhaust system or driving with an open trunk may cause pervading of carbon monoxide into the cabin. It is odorless, colorless gas, dangerous even in smaller quantities. Insufficient oil in the engine or water in the cooling system may cause engine failure. Indicators of engine and catalytic converter failure are: dark exhaust fumes mean that there is poor engine combustion due to a fault engine or air filter. Excessive noise when accelerating means that there is a fault in the exhaust system, i.e. exhaust pipe. Excessive noise while accelerating may be an indicator of the catalytic converter failure. Difficulties and creaking while shifting gears means that there are faults with the gear and clutch. If the vehicle is going slowly in the first gear, even after fully pressing the clutch, there is an error in the clutch. Eco-friendly driving. Start the vehicle just before driving in order to avoid air pollution and excessive noise. The way you should drive is very important for the environment as well as to your expenses. Fuel consumption is reduced if the engine is switched off automatically. Eco-friendly driving means avoiding unnecessary and repetitive speed changes. When slowing down, you can reduce fuel consumption by releasing the gas pedal without pressing the clutch. Change into higher speed and thus reduce fuel consumption. If you accelerate quickly, then efficiently press the gas pedal halfway and thus choose an appropriate gear. Fuel consumption will be reduced. Correct gear selection can be switching from second to fourth or from third to fifth gear. If you change gears to the highest possible gear under given conditions, you save the fuel. Try to avoid carrying heavy loads, having the windows open, carrying an empty roof rack, or having the air conditioning on. One of the important factors in reducing fuel consumption is tire pressure. If pressure is too low, fuel consumption is increasing. High speed and aggressive driving with quick accelerating and speed changes, for example while overtaking, increase fuel consumption. You can save 5 to 10% and in some cases even up to 25% of fuel consumption if you are an eco-friendly driver. When driving towards crossroads with traffic lights and yellow or red light is lit, adjust your speed and start braking in time. Avoid sudden braking immediately in front of the traffic lights. Also avoid short and unnecessary tours if you want to save fuel. If possible, plan your journey out of the rush hour. Also plan to carpool with someone. Choose the vehicle which is the most efficient in respect to the fuel consumption and the least polluting one. Legal provisions. A vehicle should not be driven in a disturbing way to make unnecessary noise or exhaust gases. There are local regulations forbidding leaving engine idle for over a minute. Tires, rims and axle in the car must not be damaged. Passenger cars of total weight up to 3,500 kilograms must have tires of the same type on all wheels, except the spare tire. This also applies to trucks of total weight up to 3,000 kilograms. Tires are divided into following types. Depending on structure, tires might be radial and diagonal. According to usage, types might be normal tire, terrain and winter tires with M+S marking and spare tires for temporary use. Tires should be pumped with air according to the manufacturer's recommendations on tire pressure. Some tires must be mounted on specified side of the vehicle in order to rotate in defined direction. Studded tires, tires with lugs, are used from the 1st of November to the 15th of April and must be mounted on all wheels and trailer wheels if a trailer is fixed to the vehicle. Check the tires for safe and comfortable driving. The tires have to be at least 1.6 millimeters deep in the main tread on each wheel. You might check the tire tread indicators. Tires and wheels must be undamaged. Shock absorbers should be functioning properly on all wheels, which can be checked by pressing strongly on one side of the car. If the car stops right away, then it is working properly. If the tires are worn out unevenly, there is a fault in the vehicle. A tendency of the car to sway more in the bends, i.e. to oversteer or understeer, or if it is more susceptible to the side winds, means that the air pressure in the tires is improper. If there are some strange squeaking noises during driving, there are some faults in the coil or shock absorbers. If the tires are worn out unevenly, the reason may be inadequate air pressure in the tires. If you notice unusual sounds in the wheels, problem might be with axle or suspension. In these situations, it is necessary to have your car checked by a registered mechanic. The car body includes the roof with the sides of the car, engine hood, trunk and doors. The car body cannot have sharp edges or protruding parts that can present unnecessary danger to the other vehicles. The body mustn't have any corrosion to endanger traffic safety. The doors, hood and trunk of the car must have door locks so they are securely closed while driving. The car must be equipped with safety belts with every seat. Safety belt must be undamaged. The car must have headrests on the front seats. The windscreen must be undamaged, equipped with window wipers and full container of windshield washer fluid. The car must have an inner rear view mirror and a left side mirror. If you do not have a good enough overview from behind, you need to have an additional mirror on the right. The mirrors must be clean and undamaged. When driving, you should have an approved warning triangle with you. If you cannot clean the windscreen, the window wipers are worn out and you should replace them. Make sure there is sufficient amount of windshield washer fluid in the container. There are special rules and equipment in some vehicles such as semi-trailers, pickups or cars with a trailer, three-wheel or four-wheel motorcycles, large motorcycles, tractors and harvesters which you can drive with a Category B license. Special rules usually apply to length or width of some cars. They are allowed weight, lights, brakes, mirrors, trailers, etc. A car must be registered in order to be used. Allowed maximum weight of the vehicle and the trailer are written in the registration document. According to the document, a driver is able to assess whether the trailer can be added to the vehicle or not. In the cars with a trailer, you should carry the registration papers for the car and the trailer as well. When driving abroad, you need these original documents or copies verified by a legal body. In Denmark, it is allowed to use unverified copies. Vehicle equipment control. During the practical exam, you have to carry out the control checkup of the vehicle's equipment without using any tools. You have to explain the control procedure step by step. You have to open your vehicle's hood in order to check the fluids. First, you need to open the door and pull the hood release. Then you have to push the secondary release button, which is placed under the hood close to the opening. In some vehicles, there is a bar which holds the hood opened. In order to control the brake fluid, you need to shake the car gently. The fluid should be between minimum and maximum marks. You also need to check if the control light on the dashboard is lit. The dipstick used for oil checkup. Oil cap. You need to remove it in order to add more oil. Follow these steps in order to check the oil in your car. Turn off the engine. Take a tissue. Pull out the dipstick and wipe it off with tissue. Pull the dipstick back into the pipe. Pull it out again. The oil level should be between the minimum and maximum marks on the dipstick. In this case, the oil level is around the maximum mark. The windshield washer fluid tank doesn't have the minimum and maximum marks. In order to control the washer fluid, you need to remove the cap and see if there is enough fluid inside the tank. In some cars, there is a control light on the dashboard which reminds you to add washer fluid in the washer fluid tank. Coolant fluid should be between the minimum and maximum marks on the coolant reservoir. The reservoir should not be opened when the engine is hot due to boiling hot fluid inside. Shake the car gently in order to check if the fluid is between minimum and maximum marks. The engine should not produce excessive noise or fumes. You can control this by turning on the engine and opening the hood in order to hear if there is any excessive noise. Then you need to ask the examiner to press the accelerator pedal while you observe for any excessive fumes coming out from the exhaust pipe. You could possibly press the accelerator pedal by yourself and take a look behind the car whether any smoke is coming out of the exhaust. Shock absorbers should be functioning properly on all wheels, which can be checked by pressing strongly on one side of the car. If the car stops right away, then it is working properly. Check all four sides of the car. You can check the regularity of brakes by observing the following four brake conditions. Ensure that the brake is not able to be pressed all the way down. You can compare it to the clutch pedal, which can be pressed all the way down. How far you can press the brake pedal depends on the car manufacturer. When you press the brake pedal for a longer period of time, it should not go lower than intended, but it has to be on even level. Press the brake pedal for 30 seconds to ensure that it's not sinking any lower. Control of the vacuum intensifier. Turn off the engine. Press the brake pedal 4 to 5 times. Then press harder on the brake pedal and press the clutch. Turn on the engine while you still hold the clutch and brake pressed. The brake pedal should sink down a little bit. The brake fluid level should be between minimum and maximum marks. Shake the car gently and check the brake fluid level inside the container. Here, the brake fluid is just around the maximum mark. Indicator lamp should not be lit while driving. If it's lit, you have to stop the vehicle and find out possible solution for the problem. All lights and catadiopters should be clean, working and undamaged. A pair of lights should be of the same color and light intensity. License plate lights should be white and able to light up the entire license plate. You can check it by turning on the position lights. The license plate lights should be automatically turned on. Then you have to go to the back of your car to check if the license plate is properly lit up. Stop lights should be of much stronger intensity than normal back lights. In order to check this, ask the examiner to turn on the engine. Then go back to the car and check if all 3 stoplights give stronger light than normal backlights. Turn on the hazard indicators and go around the car in order to check if all 4 indicators are blinking. The indicator lights should be yellow and easily seen in the daylight. Dipped beams should not blind the oncoming vehicles. The light ray should drop 1 centimeter per every 1 meter. To measure this, you have to turn on the dipped beams and stand in front of the car. Put your finger on the edge of the lit-up area and take 1 meter step backwards. Now the lit-up area should be 1 centimeter lower. Repeat this check with the other dipped beam. Exhaust system should be fixed tightly on the car. You can control this by turning on the engine and checking if the exhaust system is fixed tightly. The examiner can help you perform this check by pressing the accelerator pedal while you observe the exhaust system. Push lightly the exhaust system with your foot in order to check if it is fixed tightly. Tire tread patterns should be at least 1.6 mm deep. Tire wear bars will help determine your tire's condition. The wear bar is 1.6 mm high. Tires and wheels should be without any damages. As soon as you turn the steering wheel left or right, the wheels should follow the movements accordingly. In order to control wheel movement, switch to neutral gear. Activate the parking brake and turn on the engine. Open the window and come out of the car. Turn the steering wheel lightly up and down with 1 finger pointed out. The wheels should follow the movements accordingly. Ask the examiner to turn the steering wheel lightly up and down while you observe the movement of the right wheel. Vehicles that have power steering should have fluid levels recommended by the manufacturer, i.e. between minimum and maximum marks on the container. If the indicator lamp is lit when driving, there is not enough liquid in the container. The procedure of checking involves: take the cap off, take out the control stick from the container, wipe it, then return it into the container and take it out once again. Fluid level must be between minimum and maximum mark on the control stick. Newer cars have electric steering which doesn't require fluid. You just need to check the control light on the dashboard.